Yes, indeed. Of course, the President Night all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or President Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, well, you see, we are a bit tardy tonight. Well, that is because we have a very important mission, and that is, of course, to be participating in that what DNA, yes, David Nackid Academy. National, but really focusing on the East-West corridor. And you know what is the East-West corridor? Well, of course, is here, love is here, the corridor transformation is also here, and therefore the full team will be ready in time for the kickoff. But that means as it may, you may hear a little noise in the background, but that's because the team is in the same general area in the studio, and so of course you may have a little disturbance, but that is all part of the process of making certain that we participate in a wonderful program. And as I said last night, it is about discipline, it is about breaking down borderlines, it is about making sure that young people have an opportunity that is an alternative to gang warfare, crime and criminality, home invasions, and all of the negatives that we know are stereotypical, and what the stigmatization of this area are talking about East Port Bay, Lamington, Beetham, Sealant, Diego Martin, of course, Belmont, and all of the other areas that are designated by the police as crime hotspots, particularly and targeting, of course, the young people. We are saying that these young people, once they are given, of course, the right direction, the right motivation, the right training, the right self-esteem mechanism, and the tools that they can do better and will do better. But we must have caring people who can make the grade. Let's see a little bit of course, of the music. I see Joshua is in the background, so he's coming in. He's coming in, yes, in spite of the fact that he's almost on holiday. School will, I think,
I love the
officially go on.
I love the J-I-N-G
at the end of this week.
I love the J-I-N-G
So of course, so in spite of that, something like this, in spite of the circumstance, and regardless of the weather conditions, work has to be done, and therefore, of course, we are here, and he's here. Let's get a little more about the process, of course, we will start doing this, but I want to play for you more. Sorry about that, my apologies for the abrupt ending last night, but it was due to internet problems, so that somehow we became disconnected. So the abrupt end last night was not because I was rude or anything like that, but because of a circumstance beyond my control. That has been yesterday, and I will play just about 10 hours to play, but I suppose we will play early tonight so that you have an appreciation. Those of you who are just joined us, of course, once again, a pleasant good night to all of you. Of course, in Trinidad, in Tobago, Trinidad, East West, North, South, Central, wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day. Yes, indeed, of course. That's why I say with me tonight. Yes, I love that. Believe that we have that level of all right.
I love the J-I-N-G-L-E bells. One Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. One Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. I was attracted by the voice of a little boy as he strolled along the street, no shoes on his feet. As he walked, he continued to repeat, listen, Mama, I want you to tell Santa Claus to bring a trumpet and a concertina for me. I'm so lonely and I've no children close by me. My, you don't know how happy your son will be. Hey.
Yes, indeed, of course. Good night, Joshua. Welcome back. Of course, you were missed, I'm sure, by many, but of course, you are here tonight. Tell us, well, of course, why it is that you had to be absent yesterday. I understand there was some frolic or some bazaar that is usually part and parcel of the end of term exercises across the school system in Trinidad and Tobago, I suppose, and elsewhere in the world and the region. But certainly, it was a time, it was usually, because I can remember my own, a time for merriment, a time for, of course, getting closer to that one, talking about your spiritual, in touch with your spiritual being, and at the same time getting a chance to fraternize with your friends. But let me don't reminisce anymore. But of course, ask Joshua to give us his own experience yesterday at his school with respect to his Christmas exercise called Bazaar. Is it Bazaar they call it, or they call it frolic? Long time I have not been to one. You would appreciate that, given my age. But go ahead, Joshua.
Good night, everybody. It's called Bazaar.
Bazaar. Okay, right. So I am right.
It's not Bazaar. It's Bazaar.
Oh, Bazaar. Okay, all right.
Bazaar.
Thank you for correcting me. Yes, I agree that Bazaar, because bizarre could mean something that is dread. But bazaar will mean, of course, something that is of merriment and, of course, people having fun. But go ahead. Thanks for the correction. You see, there are teachers who would tell that child who may have attempted to correct him or her, well, you're too small to correct me. No, that is wrong. You will be stymieing, you will be limiting that child to his own expression. He may or may not be wrong. And whichever way it is, the fact that he has the encouragement or the spirit to say that to a teacher, I think is a step in the right direction and a good future for that young person. But go ahead, Joshua, and please stay in the camera, please, and put down that thing. We are on air and serious business. Go ahead. What happened yesterday?
I went to the school bazaar and I went and it didn't have much people.
All right, that's the first thing you observe. All right, no problem. Go ahead.
It only had like 10 children who did stay and like 6 children that come in and come out. And the 10 children were still there.
All right, no problem. And what transpired there?
It's had games, snacks, food.
Okay.
All this had.
And what? You had to purchase what? What was
I had to purchase ticket and food tickets.
Okay.
And I want to tell you this. I spent so much money on the train ring thing. I had 20 rings. Had 20 rings.
That's the game part.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
I threw in all and I missed all. And after when I hit one, the thing fall on. Teacher saying that you have to throw it, and it had to land on the thing without the thing falling down.
Oh, I see. And what? Yours landed, but it fell. What happened? All right. Okay. Well, so you didn't win. But it wasn't cheating. It was about having fun, right? At the end of the day,
I was the only person who played that.
You're the only person, and you expected to win. Well, you don't go into things to win. You don't go into things to lose, but sometimes that happens, and you take it in spirit, and you say, well, next time I'm going to be successful once you train hard.
And
just as your school work.
And what do you mean by school looking to close? My school already closed.
Your school already closed? I thought you had to go to school sometime this week.
No, after bazaar, school is closed.
No, 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 no. I was in the formal system and still, in a sense, a teacher. No, no, no. That doesn't mean the school is closed at all.
No, no,
Right?
no. School is closed.
Miss
But
said what? What Miss said? What Miss said?
Miss say after Friday, don't come back to school because school closed.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, let me say so well.
And
It shows that I'm out of the system, so I can't do anything. But of course, I'll ask mommy to check. You know, I love to check
Yes,
to make
go ahead.
certain what you're saying is true, and in fact, and you didn't misunderstood. Not that I'm saying that you are in any way different, but I'm saying that it may be a mistake on your part. Right, misinterpreting. But go ahead. Yeah. Anything else?
yeah, it's one more thing. I'll tell you something. Now after I ask my question about it, and after when I tell you, on live you pretend like you don't.
Like what?
I plenty things that I ask them before we come on live. Now after
Okay.
I say thing, then after when I come back and ask you again,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I see the answer, you acting shocked.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So.
You're acting like you didn't
So,
know you didn't hear
so,
that.
so that's an observation that you would have made. All right, no problem. All right, I want to give you anything in book work tonight. I just want to just get some of the feeling that you would have had in terms of your experience yesterday. And let me make sure. Right, good. Yeah, your experience yesterday. What about your friends and so on? What's happened there? Any incident that you would want to report to us? All right. That being as may, people, of course, I have a meeting right now with the guys who told you yesterday would be part and parcel of our team. It is called, I think they sort of adjusted the name, Love and Live United. Love and Live United FC Football Club. So we have been able to at least get over that hurdle. The registration is yet to be paid, but they have given us a sort of a bly until Wednesday. So we will be, of course, getting those funds at 2,500 in the beginning, and then of course we are look at jerseys and trousers and of course other attire for the purpose of making sure that the guys are well prepared for this tournament, because people are coming from all over the country, in spite of the fact there's a East-West Corridor initiative. And I want to also say that of course the first prize I think is just over $130,000 or $50,000, and then of course 100,000 second prize, and then we go down, and then of course on the field of play in the various games, I think there are some giveaways as well. Of course, we'll get all of that during the course of the tournament right here on the corridor transformation, because we are part of it, and the fact that it is the East-West Corridor, we will be highlighting footage and other issues that may come from time to time. I have some ideas that I would want to lend to the organizing committee as well. But in the meantime, let's see. Let's get to what I wanted to play for you last night, which is, of course, the address by the Honorable Prime Minister in the Parliament, and a special occasion to inaugurate or to inform the population of the relationship that now has to ensue now that the negotiations between the PSA and the CPO has concluded with the 10%, and of course you'll be surprised to hear, and I'm sure especially the civil servants, that is some 15% instead of the 10% that they may have gotten. And of course, as I said as well last night, just to give you a synopsis, that those unions, including the teacher union and the amalgamated union, well, too bad for them, they had accepted, of course, the 4 or 5% offered, and of course, as we said, it was not genuine, for want of a better term. I think it was self-defeating, because the intention was to be sympathetic to the PNM and hope by that gesture, accepting it, that they would remain in office. Well, the people flatly rejected it, having recognized that they were actually attracted to and fraternizing with or associating with the enemy of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So the 20, 25, 28th of April elections demonstrates that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are not stupid. All right, so let's go straight, of course, to the Parliament, where, of course, the Prime Minister have been given the authority to, of course, address the Parliament on a matter of a very important as far as that negotiations is concerned. So here we go.
Leader of the House.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 126, and with your leave, there has been agreement to allow the Honourable Prime Minister to speak until the conclusion of her statement.
Honourable members,
so there we go.
For the sake of the accuracy of the record, the clerk, I sort of preempted the clerk. So I am advised that the Honourable Prime Minister wishes to make a statement, and I am informed that there has been agreement between the Leader of the House and the Chief Whip to allow the Honourable Prime Minister to speak until the conclusion of the statement. Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and honourable members of this House. Mr. Speaker, just as you say in the run-up, just before I came here, I attended a very, to me, very pleasing and pleasant event. And this was 1 week ago. Someone told me there were about 500 police vehicles parked up all over the country, needing repairs. And that was 1 week ago. In fact, it was last week, Thursday. I said, well, we have something called Vimcut. Why don't we use Vimcut? And so said, so then. It was done.
So people, what we'll do, I will go to the meeting. Joshua will, of course, take his leave as well, and we will leave the Prime Minister to make her address, and then I will return thereafter. All right?
By the end of the year, to have 50 vehicles fully on the road. And what was a little shocking when I said, but why? What was wrong with these vehicles? And the VIMCOP official said, you know, oil change. Oil changes. You know, that's true, Minister, but member. Oil changes. Things to do with disc pads, transmission. The value of those vehicles was about $3 million, they tell me. I said, well, how much did you spend to bring them back? They said about $70,000. That is $70,000 well spent. So, Mr. Speaker, that's where I was before I came. And as I said, we are very happy we could bring more vehicles for the use of the police on stream. So, with respect to the meat of the matter today, I rise here to formally place on record matters of significant national importance. And this relates to the wage settlement and back pay owed to public officers represented by the PSA. And of course, the ongoing discussions with the CPO and the PSA. This matter then, in my respectful view, is not simply about numbers. It's not just about numbers. It goes to the heart of trust in governance and the dignity of more than 16,000 public officers, I'm told, and their families, who have continued to serve with professionalism despite more than a decade without salary adjustments. During our 2025 campaign, we committed that the government under my leadership would end the wage freeze, would settle the PSA negotiations, and we would ensure that there was meaningful relief before Christmas. So, Mr. Speaker, barely about 7 months later, after coming into office, we have met that commitment, and I would like the Hansard to reflect, Mr. Speaker, promises made, promises kept. And by Christmas, meaningful relief will come and promises will be delivered. Now let's look at the role of the CPO and government's responsibility when it comes to dealing with wage settlements. Under our industrial relations framework, wage negotiations are conducted between the CPO and a recognized majority union. The CPO, Mr. Speaker, is an independent office, and my government respects that independence. At the same time, the government has a duty to set policy direction and to accept responsibility for decisions which affect public finances and households. Our approach has been straightforward: respect the process, ensure fairness, ensure affordability, and honor commitments to workers. So the position is clear, Mr. Speaker. The 10% settlement will be honored. The 10% settlement will be honored. A cash advance will be paid before Christmas. And the remaining arrears will be finalized through lawful negotiations by the parties, the Public Service Association and the CPO. So I say, Mr. Speaker, whilst the Prime Minister does not negotiate clause by clause, it is still my duty to speak clearly. My government stands firmly behind the settlement and behind relief for these workers. We stand firmly in commitment to the agreement. Recent exchanges between the PSA and the CPO have created some concern amongst workers and the national community. Strong views are normal after years without any progress. However, progress is best achieved through calm, respectful dialogue, and I therefore encourage all parties to allow the established process to proceed professionally and responsibly. Mr. Speaker, permit me to place on the record the historical context of what's happening and what has been happening. Under my former administration, the 2011-2013 period concluded with a 14% increase for PSA represented workers, closing that cycle and providing relief. In 2015, when the PNM took office, the 2014 to 2016 and the 2017-2019 cycles remained unsettled. From 2015 to early 2022, no settlement was concluded. And by 2022, it was publicly acknowledged that workers had received no increase since 2014. We are now in 2025. How many years is that? 2014 to 25, about 11 years. 11 years these workers had to wait, cap in hand, begging, knocking on the door for 11 years, not to get salaries going forward, but for salaries that they were owed since 2014. So, no settlement concluded 2015, when we demitted office, to early 22. By 2022, it was publicly acknowledged that workers had received no increase, as I say, since 2014. What this meant is that in a near decade-long wage freeze, it was a wage freeze, during which the cost of living surged, with no commensurate help to these workers living on prior to 2014 wages and salaries. Fuel prices rose, VAT was reinstated on essential food items, and families faced a deep financial strain, despite more than $500 billion being spent through the national budgets at that time. $500 billion spent. Many postponed health care, they struggled to educate their children, they faced sustained financial pressure, and the living wage remained out of reach. Now, it was only in 2022, as I said before, that the former PNM regime brought forward its first offer, and that was 2% over 8 years, and that was widely rejected as a wage freeze. Following pressure, the offer was revised to 4% over 6 years. The former Prime Minister confirmed the proposal would cost approximately $2.5 billion in back pay and an additional $500 million annually for recurrent expenditure. The PSA also objected to the treatment of the cost of living allowance, warning that it would weaken future bargaining processes. By mid-2023, the PSA took the matter to court, the industrial court. When the PNM lost government in April 2025, no settlement had been concluded, no back pay had been paid. The last completed agreement remained the 14% settlement, which was given to the PSA under my watch. You all remember that? That was the last time, as I said, 11 years ago. Some unions accepted the 4%. Some of them have been paid. Minister of Finance will tell us which ones and which ones have not been paid. PSA members were definitely not paid. And so the matter remained unresolved. So after we took office, my government moved to resolve this matter. In November 2025, the PSA and the CPO agreed to a 10% salary increase, COLA consolidation for 2014 to 16 and 2017 to 2019 years. This is very important. Very, very important point. COLA consolidation. I know in the past regime, they had taken a different position when it came to the COLA and the consolidation of the COLA. Yes. Yes. The ministers remind me of TNT workers, there were 3,000 workers. Well, we fixed that. My government came and we paid those TNT workers. The NIB workers, similarly circumstanced. My government came and we paid their money at the NIB. So, this agreement entails an estimated $3.8 billion with, as a back pay, with an annual recurrent cost of about $420 million. This would end more than a decade without a salary adjustment and will stand in sharp contrast to the two previous 2% and 4% and so on. Negotiations now have to focus on the initial cash advance and the structured payment of the remaining arrears, including any lawful, mutually agreed formula. So, Minister of Finance is instructed and mandated for the negotiations to continue. But more important, the Minister is instructed and mandated to pay this first branch, this first set of money, before Christmas. Before Christmas. What is settled is this: the agreement exists, and government will honor it. We will honor it. Some questions have arisen about whether the country can afford the settlement. We recognize that the obligation is significant and fiscal responsibility is essential. The Minister of Finance is structuring financing, and the Minister will report to this Honourable House in due course. However, fair wages, what do? They strengthen morale and productivity. They increase disposable income, they stimulate business activity, and support social stability. We see this settlement as a carefully managed stimulus, which places resources in the hands of workers who have carried a burden for far too long. Properly managed, it is not a cost. It is an investment in productivity, in human dignity, and in more inclusive national recovery. So I want to, as I say, commit to making this happen. And I have a message for our public officers. To you, public officers, your service has been essential. You sustained the nation through recession and pandemic, even as your real wages declined. My government has acted. We moved from years of delay to a 10% settlement and signed an agreement which recognizes your contribution and delivers long overdue relief. And I'm advised by the Honourable Minister of Finance and the Honourable Minister of Labour that whilst on the face of it is a 10%, settlement, the actual numbers work out to 15%. 15%. So I ask our public workers, public servants, to continue serving with dedication as we modernize and digitize the public service. To our wider national community, this settlement corrects a long-standing injustice and ensures that those who serve the state must be treated with dignity and fairness. As I close, Mr. Speaker, this settlement signals renewal. It reflects a government choosing fairness over delay and dignity over neglect. It makes clear that those who serve our country will be treated with justice. Remain committed to governing with compassion, responsibility, and integrity, and to rebuilding trust, and also strengthening institutions and placing people at the center of national decisions and development. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask that we let this moment stand as a reminder. When we govern with fairness and purpose, everybody wins. Everybody wins. And in this case, workers win, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, promises made, promises kept. I thank you very much.
Yes, indeed, of course, that is the end of that particular presentation by the Honorable Prime Minister. So let me get back in because, of course, we have a lot to extrapolate, a lot to digest. Let me just get to the appropriate mechanism in place here in studio. Yes, as you know, I'm multitasking. I have a meeting that I just attended briefly with the guys because we intend to win this tournament, and we, as organizers, as one of the organizers, you'll appreciate that my presence is crucial. But we are going to continue, of course, to treat with matters, all the matters that are necessary. But tonight, I want to talk about him's birth. You see, because he has the audacity, the temerity, the gall, the effrontery, not only, of course, to talk about the fact that borrowings will be entered into by the present government, but anybody who understands government will know that that is par for the course, so he has not said anything new. What he's attempting to do, however, is to project himself. When he was borrowing, that it was much more righteous, if you could use that term, with these devilish individuals who definitely and consistently would have been up to no damn good. Let's face it. Because the level of borrowing that the PNM undertook over the almost 10 years of their presence in government, and when one look at value for money, we, of course, quite apart from what Wowley would say, that the recurring expenditure, etc., and they will engage in what is called fiscal consolidation, and that is to say, to engage in activities that would only manifest based on the income that they would get. But we have seen that they had chalked up enormous deficits. But we'll go a little further later down the road. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox, and to all your listeners.
Yes, man. Well, you heard the Honorable Prime Minister.
Well, you know your boy had to jump in that, but first, let me acknowledge everybody who were part of that gift of life ceremony today.
Yes.
The new board of TTT, all the participating ministries, etc. gift of life. Those three words say something. I think people like Terence the Terrible, K, KCR, all of those people who participated for not opening that children's hospital, Hoover Children's Hospital, must account for their malice, their misbehavior in public office, and their wickedness. We must not wait for St. Peter's to deal with them. They must be dealt with immediately. I heard the Prime Minister said the fact that they left it for 10 years was malicious. And the fact that she used the term malicious, then we have to go further and have some of the account for $80 million has been left to deteriorate, and
yes.
so many people were for help.
Too many people were?
Healthcare in this country, Manning's son, Brian, who facilitated at the COVID trend hospital during COVID-19.
Yeah.
I mean to say, it is so, I can't get the word, KCR and Terra constified, and the Prime Minister brought it back to us, the wickedness that these people govern this country, the malice. I can't express myself what I want to do with them. I mean to say, I was so moved, and the theme was appropriate. Gifts of life. The children are the future of a nation. From the day that she basically made the decision to let every child get free secondary school. We built all the schools and they left it there, the P&M to rot, and they basically punished their own.
Yeah.
She highlighted the Beach High School. She had highlighted the Davie campus. Everything this P&M do, they are evil. I mean to say, Farley has aptly described the P&M, and more recently, the finance minister talked about the little man is evil. So we must start from yesterday to make sure these people do back in power. We must crush them literally, politically, crush them and send them to the political cemetery. No man, that is unfair, and then you had the little piece with the two families who kid benefited, and the callous behavior by tight pants when a child was in need of surgery. He went, I think he went to Tobago to frolic with Terence the Terrible. I think it was a Christmas something, and he failed to act on it. I mean to say, St. Peter should come down on this earth to punish them right now. I go on, enjoy your night.
Yes, I see that you were speaking with a deep sense of mental disturbance, and of course, and at the same time emotions, having regard to what transpired today, and of course the contradiction built in to the historical antecedent that laid bare to the average Trinbagonian. But while she was speaking, people, I want to focus here a bit because I want to get back to Im's birth in a while. But it came to my mind, not only leaving in fallow the schools, over 107 schools, about 107 schools, that Rowley couldn't find why he was in government. He asked the media to ask the former minister. Well, the former minister went to the parliament to why he's in opposition and identified where all the schools are. And don't get me vexed tonight before I play the whole damn thing. Those, of course, sycophants and so on. There are people who are saying that there's some nincompoops on the chats and they are expressing themselves obnoxiously. Well, I want to tell them, eat their heart out. Eat their heart out. Because where I am, they will never be. And secondly, they have a tremendous difficulty of stringing 2 or 3 sentences, far less words together. Why bother? Why bother? So I don't take them on, as you would have noticed. I focus on the issue at hand, and I invariably achieve my objectives. That is not something that is easily focused or worked upon. There are people who are simply easily distracted. I am not. So the point that came poignantly and forcefully to me tonight was the laying bare, laying fallow, and subjected, of course, to nature those 107 schools. But more than that, because the caller said it, that if you have a system where everybody is going to secondary school, then certainly the more facilitation you can make, and possibly considering the economic challenges that may be a part and parcel of the daily life of parents and families to get their children to school, to get an education in order, of course, to advance themselves and to be contributory to the society within the context of the values, the morals, and indeed, the ability to produce and to advance Trinidad and Tobago collectively. That is what you go to school for. That is what the education system is all about. It is a major element of what is called the elements of socialization. Of course, the others would be the family, the church, the judiciary, the legal system, of course, and the penal system as well, because when you can't conform, then you end up there. Institutions of social control, where you learn what is required of you in the society, where you learn the values and the moral and the etiquette and, of course, the punctilio that is required to operate smoothly, one to another, interpersonal connectivity, exchange, whether it is in the family, whether it's in the neighborhood, whether it's in the district, whether it is in the work environment, whether, of course, it is at play, whether it is in whatever sports that one may gravitate to. There's always some disciplinary component in order to make certain that it does not deteriorate to savagery. Because human beings are gregarious animals. Some say, that is to say, they operate in groups. Just as, of course, as a beehive or ant nest, they have workers, and they have soldiers, and they have, of course, the queen that is to be protected for the procreation of the species. We have that here too in the human context. I'm emphasizing that because of the critical importance of education. That's how you know what you have to do. And whether it's in Trinidad, whether it's in another country, they always have their parameters and their and the strictures, if you want to call it that, and the mechanism for adapting and adjusting. You don't go into an Arab country that has, of course, fundamental Islamic principles, and then, of course, you wear skirts and so on up to just below your, should I say, your just above or just before your legs. Let me put it that way. I didn't want to use, of course, the cervix cavity, but certainly you understand what I'm talking about. So you have to adjust and adapt. And so Trinidad and Tobago is no different. And why am I saying that? Because one has to be upset with the PNM for not just leaving those schools to be subjected to the wiles of nature and, of course, the vandals, the human, what I consider pests that would, of course, destroy because they have been left unsecured and without the relevant attention that would have been required so that those young people can benefit as much as they can because of the availability of these assets. But there's another aspect of the education that the PNM ignored or dismantled, and that was, of course, the laptop program. The laptop program, yes. The laptop program. And then, of course, the other area that one must be very conscious of, and of course, it hits you in the face, the nonsensical arguments to stop the laptop program, this nonsensical advancement for the non-completion of construction of those schools. And I remember one very distinctly, and I would share that with you now, and that is, of course, when Imsbert said that they're building schools for Dwens. Remember that? The only Dwen, I think, in local folklore is short people with a broad hat and, of course, maybe dragging, have a cow foot and a human leg. Well, I think that is him because, of course, clearly, as the speaker observed some time ago, to his, of course, chagrin, his disapproval, his disapprobation, I'm talking about, of course, Imsbert, when he said, of course, that he is suffering from a type of what I consider to be syndrome that is called short man syndrome. Yes, short man syndrome. Because he believes he's more than what he is. And therefore, to tell him that he's suffering from short man syndrome is a cardinal sin for him. And he, of course, when the speaker told him that he's suffering from longitudinal, or should I say, longitudinal deficiency or something like that, a term like that. Don't get me, don't be annoyed with me if I have not gotten it right tonight, but certainly it's words to that effect. And but it means, of course, and everybody knows what it meant was that, and of course the speaker went on to say, well, you know, short people have a tendency to speak loud because of that impediment or inhibition. Yeah. So the government of Rowley and Imsbert made the argument for the withdrawal of the laptops that the children are watching movies and they are peddling pornography. Imagine that. And so you cannot, or put another way, you throw the baby out with the bathtub and the bath water and every damn thing. And all you had to do was to make the necessary adjustments to all of the laptops. They were still in the government's, let's say, sphere of influence and control. They must come to school with it. There are certain criteria. So you could have done something to it if it is that they're watching pornography and, of course, engage in watching movies, etc. But that was merely a red herring. They simply did not want to give poor people a laptop. They feel that was too high for them. And why am I saying that? I'm saying so because Rowley would tell you when, of course, he is not having to argue his deprivation agenda of the poor students coming from poor communities, parents not being able, in other words, a laptop is not a priority and is a hefty $3,000 minimum. He then says, of course, that his grandson, and one would assume that that person would be somewhere in not yet 11 years, and that person is very accurate with, of course, the technology. Rowley said so. But the child ain't walking anywhere. So it was him, some adult within the realm of the family, would have bought that for him to play with, etc. So when, of course, he is completed insulting the poor and the downtrodden and making it harder for them to adapt and adjust in the education system and to inculcate the information that would get them out of the quagmire and the morass that they would have found themselves in due to no cause of them. They're born into it. Rowley and they, of course, decides by their policies and programs to keep them there. Don't give them any opportunities to evolve out of that situation. And it's only the very strong-minded, the very determined. And that is why I have always said that when a young fella comes out of school and he did well, for example, become a lawyer, and of course you could check on your fingers, maybe and less than that, of course, of your fingers that you have, that you are in possession of biologically. I'm talking about your phalanges. Yes, the phalanges. It's called fingers. Those are the fingers. Less than 10 persons are being lawyers in the general Laventille area, Beetham, Sealats, etc. So when a fella comes there, he's the exception to the rule. I say that must be the rule. If we really want to transform and to, of course, generate the paradigm shift and the attitudinal change that is required for communities like East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealats, etc. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello.
A pleasant good night.
Hello.
Just let me make sure that we.
Hello.
Just a minute. Hold on there, my friend. What has happened? Yes, hold on. Ah, boy. All right. Sorry about that. I think we had a telephone issue. Let me make sure that. Oh, Mr. Diego Martin got in nicely, and now. Let's see again. All right. Let me just make sure. Hold on there. All right, hold on there. Hold on there. Are you hearing me now? Are you hearing me?
Hello.
All right, just a minute. All right. You should be hearing me now. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Right, good. Thanks.
Right,
thanks for holding on. Your tenacity is monumental. Go ahead.
Some last night, I know we get in trouble with communication. Right?
Yeah, but you know, that happens from time to time. The vicissitude of modern technology, information and communication. But what you gonna do? That is how it is in life. You know, you have the ups and downs.
Yeah. But hear me. When Rowley was opposition leader, he had a
Yes.
problem when Kamala was piloting that laptop program. This man made a statement in Parliament. He don't see head trends.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know. You must play that for these idiots and them to hear. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's their children he was talking about.
Yeah.
Why his grandchildren?
Our children.
Why
Our
his,
children. Yeah.
Yeah, why his grandchildren could have benefited with laptops?
Yeah, enjoying because he could afford it.
He didn't want poor people trying to own a laptop.
That's right. That's all that
And
was
it
about.
And yes, as I said before, since he was in opposition, he was up against it.
Yes.
Because when he made a statement about the Duncy head train on them, and it is doomed to fail, this is what the man said in Parliament. And I remember that clearly because I remember they playing those clips, right?
Yeah.
With his response to that laptop program. And he was totally against it.
Yeah, the
yet,
man, just to interject, the man so evil, boy. Christmas time, he is given as a parliamentarian hampers, and he sent it back, you know. He sent them back. He doesn't care. His philosophy and principle must override because he could afford to eat ham, lamb, and jam. He don't care about those persons who a hamper will be something of significance and will go a long way to they having some meal on their tables for at least the Christmas period. He sent them back and then saying at the same time that they deserve more than that. But when he got into office, gave them less, if not anything at all. But go ahead, my friend. I thought it was important to interject. Go ahead.
Yeah, but all the PNM constituency who voted PNM, right?
Yes.
That's what they told the supporters that the reason for taking back the laptop is because the children will be watching blue movies and all these things.
Yeah, because Rowley says so.
Yeah, but I had to argue that woman. I say you talking a lot of foolishness because my children they had proper parental guidance and that couldn't happen, right? And my children benefited and went to university and all these things. So I don't know what foolishness you talking.
His as well.
These people
his as well.
brainwash you all.
Yeah, his as well. His children as well. He Rowley as well. Yeah.
But they just didn't want the black people children to have an education.
Bottom line, there
That's
could be no
the
other
idea
reason
behind
for
that.
it. Yeah.
And the people them still going back and vote them. I mean, why you wicked to your children like that? But I want to commend the Prime Minister today, man. I saw the Cuba Hospital.
Yes. A rededication of it, and a reappellation or renaming of it, or should I say reversing to the original name, Children's Hospital. Yes, so I think things are happening. Of course, a promise delivered, another promise delivered in less than 200 days.
Yeah, but I would like to see that hospital renamed after her. Right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I will love to see that because she's a dedicated woman. She loves children, and I believe that's the most appropriate thing to do. Name the hospital after her. I also saw the East West Corridor Football League.
Yes, that's what I mentioned last night. Yes,
right. So you see how
so we are part
the
of
government is working. The government is working at a fast rate of speed. Look how many things achieved.
Yeah. You see, because you have to have a multi-pronged approach because the problem is multifaceted, and therefore you must have that kind of vision and that kind of simultaneous multiple implementation. You can't wait. You can't wait like Rowley, because he, according to him, but I will reverse it to say because he was killing people, but according to him, because he was saving people during COVID, he couldn't focus on pothole.
No, that rubbish talk. And almost 5,000 people died from COVID.
Yeah. But that's why I say, I have to reverse it and say, he was so busy killing people. That he neglect potholes and all, the very potholes that will contribute to death, not by COVID, obviously, but by increase in accidents.
Yeah, but all that money that they got from WHO is about what, 20 something billion dollars?
Well, our estimate is $22 billion was spent on COVID in general. Of course, they are yet to tell us what exactly they spent it on. How reading the Heritage and Civilization Fund, while they were given the argument as to what it was for, when they get it, they then say that it is to put it in the consolidated fund, and that therefore it was for nothing specific, but it was to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. That is the level of conmen and conwomen that we would have had managing the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago between 2015 and the 28th of April this year.
Yeah, but you're talking about conmanship, right? Conmanship. When they came out with this property tax, remember I told you, if you have you're looking for 50% the threshold before you can make it law.
Yeah, of the 400,000 property holders in the country. Yes.
So imagine 200,000 people at 5,000 fine. That is $1 billion, you know.
Yeah.
And
there was no such development, there was no such confirmation, there was no such process. And the conmanship continued, the chicanery continued when they were indicating by way of media blitz that persons who do not fill out those bogus forms that we later learned about by the courts, Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC in opposition took the matter to court. It was clear that the Commissioner of Valuations did not issue those forms. It was, of course, part of the conmanship and the deception and the con job of the PNM and Imsbert and they, in order to trick people into relieving themselves of their own money to them. And that by itself was quite apart from the fact that they said in 2015 at the Hyatt that they will never engage in property tax. Never engage in it.
Yeah, and I remember
he was strident about that undermining.
Because he wanted to answer the question instead of input. He said, let me answer that.
Yes. He run.
I remember that well.
Yeah. They haggled over who should answer the question, because Imbut was saying that is something they didn't consider because they knew that they had to consider it but never put it, but it would have been a question that would have been posed to them by any respecting journalist, and which of course was delivered, and Rowley, believing that he brighter than everybody else, delivered of course the greatest piece of conmanship, quite apart of course from the many others, whether it be that of why they didn't engage the Indian government to bring the vaccines to Trinidad, or indeed how they acquired the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower, and of course the what we don't hear about it these days. I suppose we'll get to know about it just now, and of course the Galleon Passage. Don't forget that as well.
Yeah, but as we're talking about conmanship, they try the same thing in Parliament with the budget, because with the PSA now.
Yes.
They say that it wasn't budgeted. Well, you the same thing like them with the property tax. It wasn't budgeted, but the same conmanship.
Yeah, and they said in their presentation of their manifesto that they will never touch it. So what they did, after one argument failed, they then come up with something for for the financing of local government and local government reform, and they go through these very elaborate, phantasmagorical stories that if you are not rooted in common sense, they take you away on a nefarious red carpet to total disaster, as we have seen.
Yeah, but we just forget, right? He the same man who fight down Patrick Manning in 2008 when he said they cannot afford to pay $100 people in Diego Martin, and he don't know any of them.
That's
Remember
right.
that?
Yeah, and the minimum, according to their property tax program analysis, the minimum, because if you have a dwelling that would have been evaluated for less than $14,000, then you will have to pay the minimum of $14,000, even though it would have been below the threshold of the minimum. You understand? So you have a doghouse you're living in, you convert it and you put it into a little shack and so on, 14,000.
Yeah, Dr. Leonard, these fellas have a lot to answer for when they die, you know.
Oh yes. Not only, but I want them to answer why they're living, and I know that is going to happen. I predicted that in the run-up, and I expect that actions are being taken in that regard. I just had to listen to the musical, what I consider to be verbalization of the Attorney General when he said, I will go to war with you, and he was in a high degree of specificity. So I know that is coming.
Yeah. So you take care, my friend.
Yes, my friend. Thank you very much, of course, for that, and my apology for the inability earlier to, of course, communicate efficiently and immediately. Yes, indeed. Let me make sure that the telephone is there. No, it's gone. I'm not seeing it. It's gone. Let me just re-engage. Right. All right. So the line is open. Let me just make sure and check the time. We had a late start, but of course I want you to know that of course we start again tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself, as we continue with these and other topics. And don't forget, of course, by way of announcement, on the 5th of January, we will be heading for TTT. In fact, more specifically, one of the radio stations there, Talk City, 91.1. So take a note, 91.1 radio. All the maxi taxis and all of the other persons who prefer the radio as opposed to the technology of social media, where we are at this point in time, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Well, we will be there as well. So we give you the variety. We give you the variety and the choice, and of course, the one that is what is considered to be the low-hanging fruit in terms of easiest for you. Then, of course, I think you have the entire gambit, and you should not be in any way discommoded from listening and hearing and viewing, because we will be on Channel 4 as well, government Channel 4. The ground report, that is. I will continue to be in the night to, of course, bring up the rear, so to speak, and to engage in a more elaborate way some of the issues that we would not have been able to capture during the morning period between 6 to 9. 3 hours of the ground report, but never sufficient. But certainly it's more relaxed and much more calm, and at the same time, we can, of course, engage in very elaborate discussions on the program, as well as, of course, those chatters who are prepared to engage each other and may not have the ability, or put another way, may not be so inclined to engage us on a one-on-one basis. Remember the number to call, 337-6940. Only WhatsApp, 339-229-229, 337-6940. 339-6940. All right? Good. Go ahead and call her.
Hey, Lennox Smith, pleasant good night to you.
Yes,
And
man.
everybody in the life, pleasant good night. Well, I want to say congratulations in advance for next year. Please, Lord, where you guys go be on the government radio station and public television as well. And I say, all you go be on good grounds now. All you go be leveling up to finally dismantle the PNM propaganda machine. Because about time we are taking they are to get even keys with these people and them. And as we telling people over the past few months, every one of these people and them in the opposition who go on and hiding in cave like Rohanson and Dial Singh and the rest of them, they had to make a jail when the time come. I said people, I don't want none of them there. And they show people threatening the prime minister, threatening the UNC ministers and them to death. No, I just said people, death is the easy way out. I want these people and them to go behind a magistrate, where the magistrate will tell them here what going on due to the crimes that they committed against humanity. I sentence you to 500 years behind bars or 1,000 years behind. This is the kind of verdict I want to hear. And they seize all their assets together with it. You understand? So I want to say 2026, the journey now going to start. And it's going to end also for the PNM. This is the final nail, a sea forge in a great fire right now to seal our coffin and bury these people and them once and for all. Nocturne and listening.
Yes, my friend. Yes, my friend. I had something to play with him, but I don't want to tarnish the trend of the program with, of course, his nonsensicality. Only to say, and tomorrow night, of course, we will dive into it more elaborately. But imagine he has the audacity to be concerned about the borrowings that is inevitable, that is part and parcel, is par for the course. And you can't tell a government what to do or what not to do as far as that is concerned and the management of the affairs of the country. You had your turn at the crease, so to speak, and you failed. But, of course, you borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, and of course you increased the borrowing ceiling, and all of that took place under your word. But you were saying to the UNC, coalition of interests, led by Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, that the country is in jeopardy and will be in jeopardy, etc. You created jeopardy. You are the epitome of jeopardy. You are the precursor or the forerunner to the disaster that the present government inherits. And now they have to take certain measures to stabilize and to take us out of the quagmire and the morass and the decadence and the detriment that the PNM totally lost, incompetent, impotent, indolent, and claiming, of course, to be what they are not. We have seen that over and over. Oh, they are the best suited to manage the affairs of the country to our detriment. Foreign policy, regional policy, economic policy, cultural policy, sporting policy, educational policy, as we focused a bit of earlier, cultural policy, the legislative agenda, all of which cumulatively and independently have failed monumentally. And he has the audacity, the temerity, the gall and the effrontery to talk about, what's the word that he used? Let me bring him on to just to mention that. Let me just bring him on to mention that. Yeah. Let me just bring him on to mention that. Let me bring him on to mention that. Yes.
The corporations. Anybody who understands the English language would understand that to mean that the corporations receive the amounts of money he spoke about, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, and so on. The fact of the matter is that the property tax was initially set up for the money to go into the consolidated fund, for it to be collected by the Treasury, because the corporations were not in a position to collect the tax.
So just shut up and get out of our faces. I have the ability so to do, and I will damn well use it. Get out of our faces, Bert. Waste of time. I mean, the nonsense that they speak on a daily basis is unfathomable. And if it was like a string wrapping around the earth, it will go around the earth several times and still have room. That is the level of the elasticity of their stupidity. Yes, my friend. Yeah, we have to give them some language that they may not be familiar with, but will utilize if they would have had the opportunity on others. So people, I want to tell you, of course, that tomorrow night, of course, we will look at Imsbert and some of the soothsaying that he would have been engaged in, pretending to be some minister of finance, and of course telling you what is and what is not. I cannot think outside the box. And because this government is about creativity, it is about being able to look at a problem from different multiple sides and angles, are able to, of course, to extricate itself from the, and therefore the country from the disaster that the PNM would have delivered the country into. As I said, whether it be foreign policy, regional policy, etc., etc. All right, people? So thank you, of course, for being a good one. Don't forget, of course, we have our Christmas hamper drive. I want to thank, of course, all of those benefactors who made their contributions. And this week, we expect that more will be coming on board as they contribute hampers by the 30s. Yeah, 30 by the 30s because of the amount of people that we have to service. But I'd make, of course, proud and happy during this Yuletide season. But go ahead, last caller.
Right, Lennox. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I call Amria while I go and tell she will send something for a little more concerning those hampers with the shred and them, right?
Thank you.
Nice one. Right. And two, Lennox, Rowley compensation with the Tibogonians cancel, I see. I didn't know that. I didn't know they cancel it.
The what?
Rowley was supposed to do some press conference today.
So, are you surprised? I was saying last night that nobody should attend that. Nobody should attend that. And I have a copy of the ad. I say I will bring it today. Oh gosh, I have it on the next computer. Sorry, I made you know, it didn't slip me, but I simply don't have it on my file tonight, which I normally would, of course, prepare before the program. Let me see if I get it. But I want to show the ad. Yeah, claiming no PNM people support that. The PNM and Tobago even studying it. And I mentioned that when he went on the podium during the last THA elections, and he started to say that Watsujuk was a rapist and he's in charge of, not knowing that three fingers pointed back at he, because he is a bloody consummate rapist and pedophile without any reservation. But he was talking about Watsujuk. You know, he said he will give more on the next occasion somewhere in Mason Hall. You know, PNM take him off the campaign and he was never to be seen again. We went looking for him in Tobago to, of course, see whether or not he have a pre-action protocol letter for me at INS Gate. We went up to INS Gate. We saw, of course, his duplex. I believe it was some accommodation he and his daughter had, and we couldn't find him either. And I'm sure that he wasn't looking for us, so we went up by his home, where of course we saw where his home is on the hill, and then lower down we saw land date that he changed the name, and of course billing those family dwellings, which today the present government say he must pay as a landlord, otherwise he will be convicted and pay over $250,000 if he is not registered as a landlord. So the evil they do usually follow you, and that is what is happening to them today. So in every way, they are now cursed, as we know that they were prior to the 28th of April. Go ahead, my friend.
Right, Lennox. So like all I have to say, let me come off now because I know you have a big day tomorrow. Please, you know,
yes.
Longer on the line.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, for all of you, of course, once again, don't forget the Christmas hampers contribution that you either would have pledged or you are committed to. Tomorrow, of course, we will be visiting the post office to see what is there in store for us as we engage in the countdown to Christmas, Christmas being on the 25th, but we want to see if we could start distributing by the end of this week, and of course to try to put some smiles on the children's face in particular, and of course that of the parents. So we are focusing more on food, but if you have toys and you are so minded, well, of course we will be grateful for them, but certainly what we believe is critical at this point in time is to make sure that these children have a decent meal of a nutritional nature that would be balanced, and so we expect those hampers to reflect same. If not, if you don't have the hampers and you find it's too much hassle, well then you can send the money, whether you are from, especially those abroad, send it, and we will of course do what we have to do in terms of the service. But I want to thank those who have already committed themselves very early, and some of the state agencies as well. And let me mention them, of course, NP and PIPDECO. Thank you very much, of course, for being a good corporate citizen sport, and certainly we are very appreciative of the consideration, including, of course, Flour Mill as well did some support as well. All right, and we expect continued support. So those are the announcements that we want to make. Don't forget, of course, we are involved in the DNA East-West Corridor football tournament, and we expect to win that. Right? Our team is called, I think they finalized the name today, so even though I said Love United, we have come up with Love and Live United, yes, FC, football club, right? And our motto, of course, is discipline and two other things that I can't recall now, but certainly I'm going to share it with you tomorrow. I could do it now, but we have just run out of time. All right, have a wonderful rest of the day or the night. God bless, and see you tomorrow. Yes, it's day in the sense that it's not yet the full 24 hours, all right? But of course, it's nighttime in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time. Let me just get I like to give a spiritual twist to the Sunday program, so I think tonight is no exception. So let's go there, rather than, of course, delivering the Christmassy type scenario. Let's go straight there. Let me see. I'm not seeing it. Where is it? All right. Let's see. All right. So we'll do a substitute of a Christmas nature. Jim boy. What's that next one? Best songs of Jim. Oh yeah, Jim Reese here, boy. I wonder who did this preparation for me tonight and left out my favorite. Let me get it. I am very tenacious. I will get it because I think we need to always have that local spiritual input, and I will not rest tonight until, of course, I have that well established Yes, yes. So, sort of a nice national, or should I say, corridor transformation anthem. Yes, this is it. Yes, indeed, the joy of life. The vicissitudes ebb and flow, but at the end of the day, we must enjoy life. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you tomorrow morning on the ground report, Andy, Mikey, and myself, and back here tomorrow night from 8 o'clock.